Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Pisces. If Pisces is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right, let's get started. So we have the 6 of Cups, which has everything to do with pleasure. So you can't be mad about that, right? Okay. Let's go ahead and we'll take a look and see what the tea leaves are going to tell us tonight. And if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It is free to subscribe. Also, if you want to hit the like button or leave a comment, I would love to hear from you. Okay, so it seems like at some point in the past, there was a relationship that you were in that really felt very limiting. I feel like this is somebody who is maybe kind of controlling. We have the Anchor right here. I also have, it looks like a person running away, right? And we have another person kind of chasing. I feel like this relationship, maybe it was like a first marriage or the first serious relationship. Maybe you had a child together. You tried to live together. You were young, you know, this kind of thing. And it just was, it seems like it was pretty bad, right? It just, you didn't get along. And that's really the plainest way to say it. You didn't get along, and I just almost imagine that it was like continually trying to get you to conform to their vision of the world, which was very lacking, right? And for you, it was like, okay, I made this choice. I'm going to try to stay in it. I'm going to try to figure this thing out. But at some point, you're like, what can I even do here? Right? You're miserable. This is not, it's not just hard. Every relationship has its difficulties, right? Has its moments where it's like, how the heck are we ever going to get back to a good place? That's normal. But then there are times where, you know, this doesn't seem like a normal relationship. This seems a little bit maybe more complicated than I thought it was going to be, right? So I see you ending up leaving. Okay, you leave. I think that they would not let go, right? Now, hopefully this wasn't something truly treacherous, but it seems to me that it did. It felt like you were being pursued. And I think that this is something that really ended up putting you on edge when it comes to relationships, or even just letting people close to you, letting people into your private life, right? And so, some anxiety for sure. Now, I'm going to look over here. We have the Fool right here, okay? The Fool is a most welcome energy, honestly. Now, you might be thinking, why would anybody want to be a fool? Why would anybody want to behave that way? They don't care about anything. Nobody cares about them, you know? Well, I don't think that's true, okay? I love the Fool archetype. Because the Fool is either somebody very young or naive, right? Or it's somebody who's lived a life, they've been through their ordeals, and they realize This is it. Life is short. I better be having some fun. I better be making something of this life. I am tired of being limited by, right, all the conditioning, all of the pressures put on you, all of the things that you think you ought to be doing or you're not doing enough, or, you know, whatever it is. We see this a lot in our culture, right? Global culture even. I'm not just talking America, although America is part of that. But you see a lot of people who just are not happy with themselves. And it can be on so many levels. But the most evident, I would say, is how many people they don't like how they look. Right? Obsessed with this path of trying to change themselves, transform themselves. Now, listen, no judgment either way, right? If you know me personally, which, you know, some of you do. If you know me for years, you know, my look changes. It's not just aesthetic. I mean, I go up and down in weight. I've dressed quite differently at times, although that's aesthetic, right? You know, and I've looked different throughout the years. We all do as we age, right? Or change or whatever. And yeah, of course, I am also somebody who has tried to work on the way that they look, you know, for better or worse. Sometimes it's a little misguided. I don't know what the heck I'm doing all the time. But then I think hopefully anyways, you know, we get to a point where it's like, I'm going to either have to learn to accept what I'm working with, or I'm going to spend a whole lifetime lamenting, right? Worrying, trying to change everything, and hopefully not ending up like one of those like botched, is that what that show is called, Botched or whatever, you know, having a lot of surgeries and things start to go wrong and collapse, and, you know, like a Michael Jackson type of situation. But when we have the Fool, when we have somebody who has that energy, they've lost the inhibition, they're living by their own rules, really. Now, of course, most of us, right? We need some amount of help navigating morality and ethics and behavior and all of that. But that's not really what the Fool, it's not about like, okay, so now I don't have any inhibition, so I'm just going to while out and be a monster, right? I don't think most of us are like that. I think for the most part, it's, yeah, I'm tired of being worried about all of these things that I feel like I need to change about myself, about my life, about how I'm living, how I'm, you know, existing. Or realizing I'm living somebody else's vision of success, or I'm living in somebody else's life. Like I'm the backup for somebody else, and I'm living in their world, right? The Fool will not have that. So I see you, you know, after this relationship, and this maybe is like ancient history. This might have been like 40 years ago that you were with this person. Now you've left, you've become your own person, you've developed as a human being, and here we are. I see you. We have a person here. We have a person here. We also have in the hands of the second person, a big old plump chicken. Okay. Can you see this? Let's see. We have a person here. You can see the head, the body right here. Here are the arms and body right down here of this person. And here's that big old chicken right up here. Right? Let me see. I got to get that. There we go. And to me, what this says is wherever you are in your life right now, And looking back on some of these other periods of time in your life, right? Your chapters that have come to pass. You look back on all of that and you think about where you're at right now. And I see you with family. I see you with the home, the life that you have built. I see you getting yours, having more than enough. The things that you put your mind to, flourishing, vibrant, just totally a success. And at times I think you even stop and you look back and you think, oh, how could this be? I had humble beginnings. I had trouble trying to just get things together. I made some missteps. I ended up with some people in my life that were just awful. And then I had to abandon it all and begin again. And yet, you did all of that and you ended up in a place that you never imagined. You never thought, this is going to be my life. I'm going to have not just it all. I'm going to have more than it all. And I see you getting closer and closer to that point, right? Where you can look and say, I've done far more than I ever thought that I would ever accomplish. Okay? And so this to me feels like the great pleasure of your life. I wouldn't be surprised if you were maybe the black sheep of the family. Well, maybe you still are, I don't know. But you're the one that everybody said, they're not going to do anything. Maybe you didn't finish college. Maybe you didn't even finish high school the regular way. Maybe you went and got your GED or something. You went to like trade school, or maybe not at all. I don't know. But whatever it is, I think that there were other people around you who were, quote unquote, maybe a little more impressive. Went off to school, your cousins or, whoever. Your brothers, your sisters, went off to school, got these degrees, had their families. Very impressive. And maybe at times your family thought, well, maybe they'll stick around and take care of mom and dad. I'm just laughing because that's like my rule. I don't even take care of my own mom and dad. They passed away when I was a kid. My acquired parents. But some of us, that's where we end up, right? And yet, you ended up on top. You might be the most impressive one out of the whole bunch. And maybe it is monetary. Maybe you do have the nicest house. Maybe you ended up with the coolest job or the best job or your own business. But ultimately, I think the big prize here is that you have learned how to do things for yourself. You know how to make things happen. You are a magician in your own life. And here in the middle, that's what I was seeing, the magician. Not only the magician, but the house. Okay? So, I feel like you created the life that you have. You can say that without any kind of footnote. There's no, well, my parents gave me a trust fund and then I could start my business, or, well, I'm doing really well, but I work for the family, for the family business, or whatever it is, right? I sense zero nepotism. Although, listen, nepotism's not bad. Hey, I hope my daughter can, end up being in the family business. That would be great. But no, you are a self-made person. And you are the magician of your life. And I see at this point, at this age that you're starting to really realize that you are the one pulling the strings. You are the architect of your own little reality, right? And so that the implications of that pretty strong. And when we start to realize, not only am I the architect, not only do I get to decide, I can also be quite creative, right? I can find ways to make this life more interesting, can't I? Now, I do see we have a bit of a courtship, love affair, something along these lines. We see two people kind of in an embrace of some kind right here, and that's all I'm going to say about that. We also have, it looks like two people over here kind of holding on to each other. Two people over here, it looks like they're dancing or embracing. We also have a peacock up here. So we have Juno. We have a very kind of beautiful and showy. There's a lot of attraction and flirtation. And I feel like you really are enjoying this love affair. Definitely. Or you will. Maybe it's not happening yet. Maybe it is to be. Now we have a face here with somebody winking. So I almost kind of feel like that's like a little bit of like, oh, this little secret, right? And we have the birds. So I feel like it's messages. I almost feel like maybe you've been experiencing some synchronicities. Maybe in dreams, but I think you're seeing this stuff in patterns more than anything. They're like confirmations of what you already know, what you're already feeling, but they're showing up. Now, I want to look and see what is going on. What is the universe talking to us about? What are they winking at us about? What beauty is right around the corner? What's behind the door? Okay, so we have these upside down. How many of them? How many of you are upside down? All of them. Okay, so just like this. All right, so we have resistance, generosity, health. We're going to do 3 more. Indecision, companionship. Okay. One last one. Resourcefulness. Okay. So somebody has a health issue and they are unwilling to really look at it. There's a lot of resistance. I feel like it's almost kind of like if I don't know about it, then I don't have to worry about it. It's not gonna happen, right? Or it's not gonna do anything. It'll take care of it itself, you know. I'm guessing this is maybe an older person. Very stuck in their ways about this. But I feel like there really is this kind of indecision on their part. It's like they go back and forth, right? But I think it ultimately comes down to the fear. The fear of the unknown, the fear of change, the fear of, well, things might not be going their way, right? And that makes sense. I fully understand that. Not wanting to, not wanting to get diagnosed or even go to the doctor. That makes sense. I get it. But I feel like this is something important, and I feel like this is something that you're not going to let go of. Now, I do feel like there's a companionship. So you're in a privileged place of being able to maybe talk them into doing something about this, maybe going and just seeing what the doctor says. I do also feel like this will end up being something that is maybe kind of financially worrisome for them. And I think that's part of why they are resistant, Okay, but I do see there will be a lot of generosity from the community around and family members, but also just a resourcefulness. And I think that you are going to be helpful in this part, helping maybe like set up like a GoFundMe, or, you know, finding different resources, finding ways. Well, if you're in America anyways, we all know people who have things that they need, medicines like insulin or whatever. So finding ways for them to get that cheaper, you know, helping them get all set up for whatever it is that they need. And I think that you're going to be a really, you know, important part of their recovery process. But I think ultimately it's that first initial push to get them to actually do something, right? And that's the hard part here. Okay, we're going to do our 3 lucky numbers. We have 100. I've never gotten the 100, so that's pretty awesome. 100, 11, 55. 111 and 55. Now we're going to do our inner child oracle cards, and I'm just going to flip through. I'm going to stop where it feels right. And it says 39. You are wanted. There is a home waiting within. There is a home waiting within. That's my favorite place to go. When I do every night before I go to sleep, I do like visualizations. And one of my favorite ones is pretending I'm like a little squirrel, getting into my little squirrel's nest, my little interior home, and I get all like cozy. And I think about like, what kind of things would a squirrel be dreaming about? What would you think about squirrel as you're falling asleep? And yeah, I don't know, that's just one of my silly little things that I like to do to get myself off to bed. So yes, those interior homes, most important, very, very important. All right, Pisces, I'm going to tell you I love you because I do, and I thank you so much for spending this time with me. It is always such an honor to be able to bring these messages to you. And so if you would be so kind as to like the video, it really does help the channel. And if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It's free to subscribe. Also, if you want to leave a comment, I would love to hear from you. All right, I'm going to tell you again, I love you, I love you, I love you. Take care of yourself, and we'll talk in just a few days.